Hello, welcome and welcome back. This is Jacob and today we are gonna be continuing the narration and character voice acting for the side story Zwillingstürme im Herbst. Alright everybody, this is gonna be a long one with a lot of stuff happening, so let's get this beginning out of the way as quickly as possible, shall we? First and foremost, to anybody who bumps into the narration through this very episode and is new to the channel, hello and welcome. The playlist is in the description of the video and down in the pinned comment in the comment section below, so just hit the playlist and enjoy the story. And thank you very much. And speaking of thank yous, as always guys, thank you very much for all the likes and the comments on the previous episode and the previous parts as well, so thank you very much. Really helping me out. And there was a comment again on the previous episode that at first glance was, you know, a chuckle, and at second glance was absolute dread. And that was the comment about turning into a drinking minigame every time Lessing tells Ebenholz not to kill himself. That sounded like, haha, fun at the beginning, and then I realized I could never do this. And not because I don't have tolerance against alcohol, no, it's because I would probably die in like 15 minutes, because, you know, I repeat these sentences and scenes several times as I'm recording. I would be dead in a matter of minutes in some cases. So you guys enjoy the minigame, if you're gonna do that. Pretty responsible, but I am not gonna do that. I would literally die. No thanks. That made me laugh. So thank you very much for that one. Anyway, let's do the quick recap of the previous part and then proceed into today's. So for those of you who want to skip, the timestamp is down below. Alright, on the previous part, we begin pretty much where we left off once again with Ebenholz and Lessing in what appears to be a room inside of a spire. The two of them very quickly get joined by the old man that we've seen before, who we later will find out is named Fremont and is an old lich. In the meantime, our two separate investigation teams are pretty much doing their job throughout the city. Cora and Viviana reach the residence of the late Frau Seemann, while Federico and Michael are doing their own little jaunt. Viviana and Cora are looking essentially into the older drafts of the Tote Sechsenkönigs picture that Frau Seemann has drawn and was about to exhibit before she died, but are also reminiscing about the past, mostly Cora talking about Viviana's parents, how they met, that they pretty much met on this very street where they're on currently, and as they are reminiscing about that, they get attacked by remnants of the Witch King. Viviana hears a melody, a cello, and begins to hallucinate. She sees several scenes from the past, and this one is the probably interesting one because the scenes she's watching are not from her own perspective of her own memory, but seem to be all from the perspective of her late father, Vanna. As she sees several moments, including the moment when he was being called away to go back to Sturmland to become the next Kurfürst because of what has transpired on the day the Witch King died. She also becomes painfully aware of the fact that if her father would have just waited 10 more minutes on that street, he would have seen her mother coming back and probably would have, or more than likely would have taken her with himself, and the two of them would have had a much better life together. But that never came to be, as she would later have to go by herself to find him. In the meantime, Cora reaches Viviana and tries to shake her awake, while they get surrounded by remnants, but also get busted out and helped by the appearance of the Gesetzeswächter Brandt. After the remnants are dealt with, Brandt joins the two of them in the residence of Frau Seemann, and they are using essentially arts to pull apart a picture that has been pretty much had arts woven into the same color that was used on it. Several layers get peeled back and they discover that the picture itself, in its original form, is a depiction of people who were present at the day of the Witch King's demise. Several names standing out, but one most importantly standing out in the form of a young man by the name of Gerhard Hoffmann, a teacher, or rather, he would become later a teacher. Federico and Mikhail, on the other hand, pretty much come to a similar conclusion as the previous team, that everybody, or rather that they should be heading towards the Ludwigs Universität, and both teams proceed to do so. Meanwhile, Ebenholz has another person join the fray now, and it's the very same Gerhard Hoffmann. And it seems, at first glance, at least it seems that he's working directly for Fremont, as Fremont is trying to extract the voice of the mundane, but Gerhard has his own plans, as he uses his arts to pretty much bust Ebenholz out of there. Later on, both our teams are gonna pretty much at the same time arrive at the Ludwigs Universität and begin their investigations there. Brandt would take Viviana to meet Fremont, who is pretty much the oldest person in that Universität, pretty much the oldest person in Leithanien, if you think about it, considering him being a lich. But Federico and Mikhail run into a bit of trouble, considering the gendarmerie is also present in the Universität, and they are blocking their advance, or they're blocking Federico's advance. Meanwhile, Gerhard and Ebenholz are running away and are being continuously pursued by Lessing, who is trying to catch up to them, while Gerhard is pretty much blocking Lessing's advances. And they get separated once more. As it becomes very clear later on through a conversation back with Brandt, Viviana, and Fremont, they learn, or rather Viviana learns, that Fremont is a lich, and should not interfere with him, otherwise she would probably die by just trying to do anything against him. Federico is dodging the gendarmerie as he finally picked up a trace or trail to Arturia, who is pretty much at the top of the same spire he is in. And the whole school slowly starts to diverge into chaos as the students are starting to pretty much accuse and attack each other on several fronts. Lessing, being in the middle of all that, tries to stop several students, but also sees that the rest of the students are pretty much just in open conflict with each other. Gerhard and Ebenholz are still descending towards a chamber, a secret chamber of the Urtikas that has been left below the Universität, but Lessing catches up to them, but also at the same time gets stopped in his tracks by the sudden activation of the spiral staircase coming to life and preventing his further advance. The two of them, Gerhard and Ebenholz, reach the secret chamber, and it pretty much comes clear as this scene and this scene in Back with Fremont starts playing out that Fremont was never the bad guy in all of this, essentially. He just wanted the voice, while Gerhard seems to be the one who is in league with the Witch King Remnants and is trying to pretty much resurrect the good old Witch King. And that is where we left off. So, let us proceed into today's part, shall we? So then, today we are obviously going to be continuing on from stage 5, where we left off last time, onto the cutscene ST-2, and then only the first half of ZT-6. Mostly because if I would have continued to record the second part, the video would have been too long, and as you're gonna see once we start going through this, this was a very draining section to record. You'll see once we start going through it and why I'm stopping in the middle of that. Pretty much, there was a pretty much good like, sorta cliffhanger-y moment, sorta not. Pretty much a cliffhanger, but I'm giving you a warning right now before we start. Anyway, let's begin on stage number 5. Sonata, Autumn. A meeting, then desolation. Betrayal, then regret. Autumn's monologue. A standoff. It was meant to be a sudden assault. The casters of Kreis Heldenschwert would disguise themselves as musicians and infiltrate the Witch King's spire, while the armies from Edenher and Sturmland would stay hidden outside through their enchantments. No one dared underestimate the Witch King's power, but the battle was nonetheless harder than anyone could have imagined. The army outside the spire was discovered by the Einwald Imperial Guard. The first wave of casters all died at its base, while the second wave was swallowed by the endless staircase. The only ones who made it to the throne were the twins, Grimmacht and her sister, Ewige Gnade. Black and red had always been the Urtica colors, but from the entrance to its deepest innards, the spire was almost completely void of black tiles.
House Urtica's secret chamber lies underground, and it's very close to Sonata Spire, so we can make our way down through it. Haframo has already left, and we must catch up.
9.
Is something the matter?
Go no further. The Witch King's Imperial Guard is here. You will die.
The Imperial Guard? What do you mean?
The folks from Heldenschwert never expected you people to win. They simply wanted the Sturmland armies to keep the Imperial Guard at bay while the twins climbed the spire. In their plans, all of you were meant to die. The Witch King, the twins, everyone. Tell your father and Ernst that the Hawkbacks should not be buried here, not in this spire.
Herr Rainer, my father is dead.
I'm the reason that you're the only survivor. I'm the one who took away your freedom.
Please, look at me. I'm Viviana. Did you perhaps mistake me for my father?
Leave now. Leave Ludwig's Universität. Grimmacht's envoy has passed on the Kaiserinnen's orders. As an Empress's voice, you have more than enough grounds to terminate your mission. And to prevent the voices from going out of sync, Ewige Gnade won't punish you for it either.
Do you hear the commotion around us?
It sounds familiar. This is practically a battlefield. My duties prevent me from escorting you out, but I can at least use my melody to forge a path through the chaos for you.
9. I will never forget how quiet and peaceful it was when we entered the campus. The young students' faces still had hope for what was to come. I can't let them become sacrifices to this conflict. While I'm nowhere near as strong as you or Haframo, I like to help as many of those weaker than me as I can.
Hakon's secret lies ahead. Ewige Gnade said that when the Kaiserinnenfest comes to an end, you'll have another chance to choose. But once you've gazed upon the country's darkest, most hidden secret, all your other choices will immediately evaporate.
I expected as much. But while I long for freedom, I can't very well turn my back on people suffering right in front of me. Ironic, isn't it?
You're just like your father.
Yeah, I know. I've always known the kind of man he was. What's going on? Why are there so many people underground?
They charged inside. It's not just Sonata Tower either. The Scholar's Spire next door too. There are students everywhere.
Stop them all! Don't let them block the stairs! Or we can't chase... Who did that?
No idea, there's too much going on. I can't make anything out.
Witch King Remnants! Listen. Listen to the extreme chaos, as well as to the only melody that can be found within it. That is Hakon's sigh. The final sound our king left upon this land. The supreme spire, whose dark shadow on the ground causes all to shudder. Those who do not wish to be engulfed in darkness paddle their arms and climb the staircases leading up. The pitch-black will hangs over the throne in silence, awaiting inquiries from other souls. Those who hide beneath the curtains regret the demise of love. Those who lead the charge in others' stead ponder the meaning of heroism. Those who wade through the sea of their fallen comrades' blood lament the price of their sacrifice. All of them now gather at the far ends of the spiral staircase to witness the birth of this melody. Its name, Der Tod des Hexenkönigs.
It's the Witch King's army! They're charging toward me! Casters pouring in through catastrophes, Originium piercing entire cities! Help! I don't want to die, but I might as well. Please burn me to ashes. I don't want to be crumbled into a living ball of flesh. How could you set yourself ablaze, you idiot? 9. Everyone here has gone mad. This sound, the pipe organ. Are the Witch King's remnants performing? All of us are under the influence of their illusions. Who's there on the podium? All this blood, all these corpses? But who is it lying in the blood? Grimmacht? Ewige Gnade? It's you, the wicked twins! The rumors were true, weren't they? Your souls were cooked up by the Sarkis' arts and your blood molded from the ambitions of traitors! You killed Leithanien's true king and took over her throne! You two were born to destroy this country! You're wrong! Grimmacht may be cruel, but she is not evil! And who are you? Another Empress's voice? A puppet carrying out the twins' will? 9. She wouldn't let me become one. But I'm alive because of Grimmacht. I want to help her. I want to... Anyone who accepts a monster's reward becomes a monster themselves. Look at all this. Look at how far Leithanien has fallen because of you people. The spire, the school. Did you keep Ludwig's University around only to impersonate us true Leithanians? To pretend you still had the decency to respect tradition? I've had enough. I'm sick of the Empress's voice showing up at our lectures. I'm sick of these salons incapable of anything other but empty praise. Our history, our knowledge, and our arts are all long dead, murdered. So we may as well die together. I'll kill all of you! What are these arts? Why can't I block them? No, is that a fist? Mihail's eyes suddenly widen. More and more people rush towards Sonata's spire by the minute, joining the fray as the music continues. Many of them set down their wands, choosing instead to use their fists, legs, and teeth. Is this still the Leithanien he knows? All the rhetorical tricks and combat tactics he learned, even Originium arts have lost their effectiveness. Aside from covering under his shield, there is nothing he can do. Right now he is no different from the young boy he was when he had just left his hometown and arrived in Zwillingstürme. Please, I beg you, if you ignore it, I'll do anything, please spare me. No, don't hurt me. Grimmacht, Grimmacht. Please stand. Who? Raise your shield and face it to your left. Okay. Help me hold this person up. A gendarme? Who is he? I do not know his name, but he is one of Loris Borden's subordinates. He was attempting to blow my head up with darts. And you still saved him? The third sculpture, shattered. He was merely carrying out his duties. I see no reason to harm him. These men may be under the influence of arts, losing their reason to their most intense emotions buried deep within their hearts. Fighting them would be inefficient. I suggest instead quickly rendering them unconscious, as I have been doing. So this entire time you've been knocking people out while making your way through the crowd? I've also attempted to place them in a corner, to ensure that they won't be stepped on or struck in the melee.
Danke then for not clubbing me the moment you saw me then.
I do not require thanks. Miha Wolf, you may be young, but mentally you are much stronger than most adults. I believe that as long as someone is available to provide you a hint, you will never lose yourself to these illusions. That is not necessarily the case for everyone else. Although I have yet to receive confirmation if it was Arturia's music that caused this chaos, then the abnormal behavior will continue until we end her performance. I'll leave this place to you, Miha Wolf.
Call me Michael.
I must continue ascending, Michael. The strange voice from a sculpture comes back. This sound is very familiar. The staircase outside must be as chaotic as it was 23 years ago.
Panic, anxiety, fear, rage, all these emotions caused by that non-existent spire. The Genesis spire standing at the heart of Leithanien. When its sound can once again be heard far and wide, what sort of music will it finally have in store for us?
Meanwhile, Ebenholz. All the gathered Witch Kings echoes in unison. Herkun's horn, our one and only king. Your magnificence props up the spire and your radiance shrouds the land. Your soul shines eternal and your arts will never fade. All of Leithanien's wisdom and elegance gather before you. Your luminance and greatness are the pillars of her success. Lift your heads, all ye who prostrate on the land before him. Gaze upon our king's accomplishments, his glory.
At last, the day has finally arrived. For 2 decades I have dreamt of walking up those long stairs and standing before this very throne. Fortunately, fate provided me the enchantment you left on the Guldenes Gesetz. Today, very soon, your final melody will be performed. Herkunftshorn, Leithanien's most supreme ruler. Allow me to once again seek an audience. Allow me to seek your forgiveness. Good boy, Franz. I apologize. I had no choice but to knock you out. Does your head still hurt? I would have thought you'd have plenty of questions for me. Huh. Yeah, that's the look. You're in pain but unwilling to give in. Even lying in sludge, you'd still look upon your betters with scorn.
My betters? All I see is a flock of madmen putting on a show. Your ramblings are even less worth listening to than the noise in my head.
You believe us insane, and that we've mistaken you for the Witch King, and so we repent and kneel before you. What a shame. Even I had hoped that you could truly become him. If only our original experiment had succeeded. If only we'd found a way to perform the voice of Mundane right from the start. Then neither you nor the other children would have to suffer too.
It was you? And to think I was going to protect you!
Oh. You're coughing up blood.
I almost wish my blood really were imbued with evil power. I could have at least burned away that deceitful mask you're wearing.
But I haven't told you a single lie. When we first met, you'd yet to learn to walk. All you could do was sit on your mother's lap.
Was she also
a remnant of the Witch King? Is that what you wanted to ask? Are you worried that your birth itself was some sort of evil ritual? 9. Quite the opposite. But you wish it were, don't you? You want your entire life to have been a conspiracy through and through. That way, you'd feel comfortable despising it. But that doesn't make sense, my dear Franz. Your mother was a respectable woman. She was a descendant of the Urtikas, part of the Witch King's bloodline, so to others she was almost by definition one of his remnants. Before she died, she entrusted you to a friend, an old servant of the Witch King. And to protect you, he too was killed by the Empress's voice. Would you scorn them as well, even though they truly loved you?
So after taking away my love, now you tell me I don't deserve to hate either? You want me to be nothing more than an empty husk, all the better to squeeze that old fart into me. Ha! Just try. The Witch King's whispers, his robes, his crown, what else is there?
Don't worry, my child. When Herbst's power arrives, he will end your cruel fate and heal you of your scars and pain.
I thought I told you to let him go.
So you chased us after all. It must have been hard to make it past all the enchantments outside, no?
This is my responsibility, and I don't give up.
I'm surprised you were able to clear through my defensive enchantments.
I sharpen my sword with my arts every day. I make sure that it's as solid as my will.
Your sword. Is that It has a special enchantment that specifically targets traditional Leithanien arts. Did the professor teach you that? Has he always been prepared to make an enemy of Leithanien?
The old man's never been one to pick his enemies, and neither do I.
Our enemies crawl out of the shadows on their own.
Just like you, Gerhard. I never expected to point my sword at someone who was once my ally.
We don't have to be enemies, Lessing. The Myers have served the Urtikas for generations. As long as you are willing to stand on our side and help Franz, there will always be a place for you by the throne.
The throne? All I see is a musty old chair. My grandfather, my parents, all of them have been held hostage by the chair for far too long. Why should I repeat the same mistake and bind myself to it again?
Well said. Those unwilling to be bound by the past will always try to seek out a different fate. Like you, and like me.
The concertmaster has started a performance.
It's almost time. No one can stop the advent of Herbst anymore.
But Herbst isn't the one sitting on that throne. His name is Ebenholz, and it's my duty to bring him back with me. As long as I live, nothing will stop me from reaching that battered chair. It doesn't matter how many men you have. Come at me!
Gesetzeswächter! The melody has begun. Not even you can stop its flow.
Perhaps not.
Your sword is reverberating? It's useless, Gesetzeswächter. You may be able to chain down a single man's mind, but 100? 1,000? Your melody will be drowned in chaos. Much like how the Gesetzeswächter were unable to stop the melee at the foot of the Witch King's spire 23 years ago.
If so, I will kill chaos itself. His long sword pierces not his enemy's chest, but instead the ground beneath them. A golden radiance surges from the blade, drowning out even the Gesetzeswächter's armor, then dashes toward the sky to form a webbing the color of the setting sun, enveloping Sonata Spire within it. All sounds within reach of his arts are drowned out, leaving nothing but the solemn melody reverberating in the air.
A golden curtain? Those arts should take at least 10 Gesetzeswächter to cast. How did you manage it all on your own?
The harmony of the Goldenes Gesetz is inviolable. Today no one outside Ludwig's Universität will hear a single discordant note. I swear by my flesh, blood, and soul. Not a single remnant of the Witch King will leave the spire alive. You and your arts must be extinguished here.
The melodies changed again.
God.
Took you long enough, Professor. I'm sure killing us Leithanien casters would be a simple matter for you. But as always, you're unwilling to dirty your own hands.
How many times do I have to tell you? Us liches are just the keepers of the Palace of Knowledge. We bring our wisdom to the different races to advance the development of arts, but we never interfere with the country's own affairs. That was the core of the Lich King's contract with your ancestors, and it is the Lich's creed.
I understand all too well. A group of Sarkas living in Leithanien's most ancient spire, the seat of her power. No, Leithanien would willingly accept that truth. I'm quite jealous of you, you know. Even against Hakon's, all you did was provide the enchantment that molded those twins. You didn't need to bear the responsibility of changing history, nor did you stain your hands with the blood of your closest friend.
I don't get what you're thinking at all. Years ago, you were the one who tried to convince me to stop Hakon's, but now you're mingling with these third-rate wannabes.
Yeah, because I changed. And you're the one who changed me. You had me research the Guldenes Gesetz and think on Leithanien's history. I did exactly as you asked. But the deeper I got into my research, the more I despaired. Hakon's accomplishments were simply too dazzling. He resolved the Syracusan problem and saved Leithanien when it was on the verge of breaking apart. He crushed Corsica the First and prevented us from becoming a Gaulish vassal state. Only through his presence have we thwarted every existential threat to the country again and again. We had such a great man on the throne and we killed him.
When did I ever tell you to read up on how great Hakon's was? Besides, what does his greatness have to do with him killing so many Sarkas and Leithanians alike, turning the country into a smoking hot mess, and plugging his ears to anyone else's opinions? I had you study the Guldenes Gesetz because I wanted you to have a more open-minded outlook, not to pore over every trivial growing pain every nation goes through. Hardships happen, then everyone goes back to their lives. But somehow you ended up caught up in this nonsense. How can you even consider this when so many have died?
Because I can't see them, Professor. I'm not like you, a Sarkas with control over even death itself. When we die, that's it. We become a speck of dust on this land forever. The dead can never feel my hatred. All those years ago, I was the one who persuaded them to fight. I sent them to their deaths in the Witch King's Spire. If that battle had never happened, he wouldn't have died, and neither would they.
You idiot! And that's why you want to resurrect him? You can't possibly think that, when you do see him, he's going to praise you for this, or even comfort you. He wasn't some kindly old grandfather who sang nursery rhymes to dumb kids. He wouldn't even spare you a glance. He'd treat you as a speck of dust dirtying his floor.
You still don't understand a thing. A selfish and cowardly man like me. Everything I do to seek my own forgiveness.
That thing you're holding, the missing Guldenes Gesetz?
More precisely, it's the lingering trace of Hakon's power he left in the Guldenes Gesetz.
You want to use his arts by force. Don't be stupid, Gerhard. You can't do it.
I've come too far not to. I don't want to regret this a second time.
A flame rises, so black and so red that it seems drenched in blood. The walls of the chamber tremble violently. Originium crystals sprout and grow from every crevice between the brick and tile, even piercing the ground's foundation.
Ebenholt! Hurry! Gerhard's going to destroy this whole school!
Witch King... The voice of the mundane. It's boiling in my head.
It'll be free soon.
That's not the voice of the mundane reacting.
It's not.
I don't know who first got it wrong, or maybe Gerhard has given up on summoning him through you entirely. But Hakonson's power isn't originating from your mind. You aren't the key melody here. Arturia.
You're a little later than expected. Is it because you were helping the gendarmerie? You've grown soft. What happened to the executor who would stop at nothing to fulfill his mission?
The fourth sculpture. You aren't playing.
You must be shocked, aren't you? Like I've told you, you don't need to rush to find me. Until my real audience arrives, I'm just a listener myself.
You aren't the source of the illusions the men below are experiencing.
I'm a little hurt. We've been competing against each other for how long now? But you still confuse the truth my music draws out with the illusions a conman would use. Besides, haven't you noticed? The people trapped in this spire have always hated each other. They've never stopped fighting. Isn't laying the blame for this chaos entirely on mind-affecting arts also a form of running away?
The Leithannien's affairs are not within the purview of the Notarial Hall. My primary targets are limited to you and your accomplices. Who is manipulating these sculptures to protect you?
An avid listener of mine. You arrived a bit too late. Just a little earlier, and you could have also had a front row seat to the Tote Sexenkönigs.
The fifth. Arturia, I'm well acquainted with every crime you have committed. Your arts have affected a variety of regions and social classes, but you have never actively participated in political conflict.
Do you remember my mother's funeral? How I freed the emotions everyone had kept hidden in their hearts. It was the first time I realized how easily others fell into my melodies. But that brought me no joy. Quite the opposite. I was disappointed. Powerful emotions should give rise to more than just chaos. Emotions are meant to bolster our souls, to allow us to overcome any obstacle, even our predestined extinction. Which is why I came here in my search.
The sixth. If you're looking to perform for the Witch King, then you will never succeed. He perished long ago. Your melody has no effect on the dead.
It would seem you're a little mistaken about this performance. The shadow over the throne was dispersed, and the twin heroes walked out of the spire to the adoration of the masses, while those who stayed put are still waist deep in the emotions they felt when they witnessed the mountain crumble before them. The Tote Sexenkönigs isn't about the Witch King. He was never the main character of this piece.
What happened? Why are we here? Ah, my hand hurts. Why am I bleeding? The stairs are shaking. Is the spire coming down? What's with the black fire burning from the ground? Help! Help! These are Hakonson's enchantments. You've all come to your senses. We need to get out of the spire, now! You're awake too? Candlelight. Candle... Candlelight?
Here, this way.
But the flames, the whole Sonata spire is enveloped by those black flames.
I'll open up a path.
With your candle's flame?
Pay attention to the shadow it casts on the wall.
The shadows tearing the black flames apart?
Yeah, this is the true form of my arts. You must be disappointed. They're not nearly as beautiful as you thought, right?
No, meine Dame, this is stunning. You don't often see arts that can rival Hakonson's undying black flames.
I can't defeat them, but as long as something truly exists, it casts a shadow, The most I can manage is make use of this principle to ever so briefly create a chance to survive. Is something the matter?
I was just thinking that I was your enemy until a moment ago, yet you aren't blaming me.
Why should I? You said you're not an Empress's voice, and I have yet to formally enter the Kaiserin spire myself. Here you can just be you, and I can just be Viviana. We aren't carrying out the Kaiserin's orders, we're simply helping out the poor souls struggling in this music. So please, take the students and make your way out as fast as you can. While they've recovered their mobility, I can still hold on a little longer.
I can see golden light outside. The Gesetzeswächter's curtain has already enveloped this place. He could destroy the spire at any moment.
I trust that Herr Rainer will make the appropriate decision.
What about you then?
My candle flame will extinguish sooner or later. Hopefully, it chooses the most meaningful moment to...
Frau Hochback! Viviana!
Go, Michael. Please take care of yourself and these young students. Each of you has a future that someone like me could never dream of.
This is the place. Surround the spire.
Casters from the Kaiserin spires.
That's right, Brandt.
Haven't I already said that?
These are the Kaiserin's orders. We are to assist you in resolving the problem here.
Good. Use your arts. Join me as accompaniment. I will tighten the curtain.
No, Herr Rainer.
Step aside, Envoy of Gremacht. Will you continue to stand in our way? Your earlier behavior alone is reason enough to suspect you of colluding with the Witch King's remnants.
There are still innocents inside.
I see the students have all been evacuated, and Herr Fremont wouldn't die so easily.
But the Sancta and Viviana...
Viviana is still inside?
She's trapped by the black flames and stayed behind to save me and the students.
Brandt!
This is our best chance to eliminate a threat.
Once the ensemble is complete, your strength will completely annihilate the spire. Viviana will perish too.
It was her decision to enter the battlefield.
Vanna gave his life for Leithanien. We can't let his one and only daughter follow in his footsteps. You promised Vanna that you'd save her. We both did. Have you forgotten your oath?
Have you forgotten your oath, Rainer? The blade and arts of a Gesetzeswächter belong only to the Güldenes Gesetz and to Leithanien. It doesn't matter how Helkomson treats his subjects. He is Leithanien's rightful ruler as recognized by the Güldenes Gesetz. If you choose to fight alongside House Hochback, you will be abandoning your duties as a Gesetzeswächter. One more step and you will be making an enemy out of all of us. Brandt, why didn't you come and save us? We grew up together, we were like brothers. I know you loathe the Witch King too, you despise his tyranny over Sturmland citizens, and you hate how he turned our homeland into a battlefield and a testing ground. The Battle of the Four Emperors was years ago, and the skies above Sturmland are still filled with catastrophe clouds formed by the Reginium shards. Many of our children are doomed to be born with those accursed stones. Why can't we resist? Why can't we make him pay the price? Is it because the Güldenes Gesetz dictates that he is the ruler and that we are his attendants? 9. It isn't right for us to be born that way. If your power is merely dependent on some inviolable will, does it make your will, the Gesetzeswächter's will, fundamentally a lie? It's that lie that's forcing you to run away from your decision, as well as from your remorse toward the dead Hochbacks. Brandt Rainer, make your decision now. Viviana. His body wobbles once, almost unnoticeably. Then, small cracks start appearing in the golden curtain.
Resonance. At last, I got you.
The 7th. All the sculptures have been destroyed. You no longer have a means to resist.
Just a moment longer, my dear Federico. Do you hear that? Brantraina, his soul is finally opening up to my melody. His strong will has finally broken free of his restraints, and the surge of emotions will lead him to make the decision he will regret the least. This is what I've been waiting for. The truest climax of this piece.
A melody so impassioned that it approaches piercing, rings out from the strings of Arturia's shallow. As though motivated by the music, black originium flames rise from the deepest depths of the earth and tear asunder the surface mere inches away. The Witch King's musicians standing guard at the foot of the spire all walk single file into the black flames, chanting even as they are incinerated into ash.
The very spire that holds up the skies, the inevitable, indispensable, and eternal pillar, now rise.
Something bores out of the earth's flesh. It is a high spire. It bears a red tint to its blackness, a spiral shape, and a strange sharpness. The long-lost Witch King spire stands atop the land once more.
What the hell is that? The Witch King spire? Is that the Witch King spire? The Witch King is back. The terrifying tyrant, the evil caster, he's back! Stop! Don't turn back! Don't push! Where would you even run? This is the punishment that the great Hakon-san is laying down on us! Burn! Burn! What are you doing? You're attracting the flames! It's all over anyway. Why even bother lying to ourselves anymore? Pretending to have dignity? Put out the fire! Put it out! Information! No, it's coming this way. The entire school is... There's no stopping it!
The black flames engulf everything in their wake. Laughter, sobbing, nothing is spared. As the sound of thunder rips through the air, the thick layers of clouds above descend lower and lower, almost becoming one with the strange spire before them. Some of the older students remember the history books that they happened to have read deep inside the spire, the ones that went unburned. They said that during the Battle of the Four Emperors, Hakon-san brought an originium storm that ripped apart the skies above the battlefield, swallowing an entire Gaulish landship fleet at once. And now, at that very same location, there remains a terrifying rift deep in the catastrophe clouds, the screams of the sleepless dead reverberating within.
Herr Gesetzeswächter, the curtain isn't going to hold. The students are all trying to escape. We can't stop them. Everyone has seen the spire. Sooner or later the news will spread. Should we...
9. Lower the curtain. Concentrate all your energy on dealing with the black flames.
It's not working.
This assault was more than enough to decimate a vanguard of Casimirsian campaign knights.
Hakon-san's enchantments are not so easily removed. As the legend goes, the way he used ours was fundamentally different from other casters. During the Battle of the Witch King Spire years ago, only the Kaiserinen were able to perform their melodies unimpeded. All other casters' arts failed.
That spire. We must lay siege to it and take care of the problem at its source.
Brandt, do you hear that? The lightning has stopped. She's here. We're saved.
Everyone, defend. The clouds begin to crack. There is no sound, no shaking, and no omen of any kind. A bolt of purple-black lightning simply crashes down from high above. Likewise, it is not accompanied by any kind of flashy expansion or shocking roar. It merely pierces the spire's body and crushes the seemingly impenetrable tower, layer after layer, from top to bottom. By the time the first piece of falling rubble reaches the ground, the reborn Witch King's spire has already ceased to be, as though it had never existed in the first place. Finally, the earth starts trembling, as though reacting to the spire's fall. Behind the wall of arts conjured by the Imperial casters, the crowd stands in terror, with their eyes wide open. At the highest point of the ruins, they see a figure holding a sword emitting purple-black sparks of lightning.
Hakon's shadow will no longer be permitted to shroud Leithanien soil. Especially not that of a fake.
We're certainly dealing with a fake, but it's really quite remarkable how easily his expectations were shattered. A shame she's just like her blunt twin. Their souls were molded by art's enchantments, and I'm afraid there are a few ripples that I can't perform with.
It's over. What your plans were for the Gesetzeswächter is now irrelevant. You have failed.
Is that so? Federico, you are so impatient as ever. The climax of a piece is never its end.
Arturian spreads her arms and falls backwards into the air behind the railing. Then the remains of a sculpture lift her up, and she quickly rises even higher.
I'll be waiting for you at the end of the stairs.
What just happened? The chamber rose and then... I grabbed you and jumped.
That's right, you jumped without hesitation, without even checking on your poor old grandfather.
There is no way anything would have happened to you.
You harmless little runt. Grimmacht really didn't hold back with her sword. If I hadn't pulled you two out in time, you'd have been buried in the dirt alongside all those masked men.
What about Gerhard? Is he dead?
He ran. But he won't get far. His body can't withstand Hakon's arts. He will collapse in no time, like an infected with rapidly deteriorating symptoms.
So my body really cannot become the Genesis Horn's vessel. This sound.
Hello, Haskola.
You were waiting for me?
Correct. I visited this school just for you. If you don't mind me asking, would you be willing to allow my melody to accompany you as you reach the end of your life?
Danke. To a Leithanien, there is nothing more romantic than dying to the sound of beautiful music. My only regret is that Grimmacht came too soon and I didn't get to meet Hakon's Horn. He didn't awaken, and there was no one to answer my question. If he was truly so great, then why was he killed by mere men like us? Why must I carry the burden of that decision?
In the end, you remain tormented by regret. But, Haskola, you have never truly been free. Why must you feel regret over past decisions?
I'm not free.
Your tattered very heart is now laid bare before me. I can feel everything you feel. On the night of the battle at the spire, your heart was filled with spite toward the tyrant, but aside from that, there was also doubt.
Of course, The man I was about to kill, Helcomson, was the rightful ruler of Leithanien.
Then what planted the seed of that emotion?
You mean, what influenced me to think that? Are you implying that someone was telling me to look up to Leithanien's king?
I've visited many places and collected a variety of music. I found that, although each of them has a unique style, they all share some commonalities in their origin, and Leithanien's in particular is the most classical of them all. This country was born from a movement, a melody blending together 10 tribes with different cultures. When language proves to be a barrier, music is the only means to communicate. But why is that? Why would different wills produce similar experiences from the same melody? Is there some kind of power binding both you and us?
Right. Why do conflict and crises always repeat in an endless spiral? Why is it so hard to change Leithanien? I know. Your music is telling me that I've always known. It's just that power, it keeps me from finding it. The answer is in my hands. My teacher never lied to me. The golden melody, Leithanien's will. All of us Leithanians are trapped. So it's true. I've never really had a choice. It wasn't my fault. It wasn't my fault. Thank goodness. The scholar realizes that he is once again standing at the highest point of Ludwig's Universität. This is the first time in 23 years that he's earnestly gazed at the sunset outside. The clouds are fluffy, and although they're completely soaked in blood, they yet maintain their original shapes. This is Leithanien's evening glow. Gerhard Hoffmann notices that his body and the Güldenesgesetz have fallen together on the spiral staircase, while his consciousness drifts out the window with the melody and dissolves into the clouds. He has never felt so free.
Stay quiet for a moment. I want to let his emotions linger at my fingertips for a little longer. I've heard that you call yourself an executioner. You've witnessed so many deaths, but have you ever truly touched the last bout of emotion that bursts forth at their final moments?
An executor is more concerned with the deceased's last testament.
You make the living believe that their wills will be carried out even after death, while I allow their most splendid emotions to live on in music. Both of us substantiate the meaning of having lived. We just go about it in different ways.
I'm here to execute my mission and nothing more. I have no need to listen to his sinner's sophistry.
We're family, and haven't seen each other for so long. Can't you at least hold a proper conversation, Federico? Who's to say I won't die tomorrow?
You intentionally put yourself in danger. It would not be entirely surprising if you did.
I wouldn't find it surprising either. We're all bound to die. When we do, our bodies give nutrients back to the land and become a part of new life. This is the meaning of our flesh. It's the circle of life. But what about the meaning of our wills? When our consciousness fades, they will return to chaos. So what separates the living from the dead, one person from another, and us from the sunset and the breeze? It's our emotions, Federico. If there is meaning to our lives outside of our bodies, if there truly is something that can resist the destined chaos, then it is only this very moment, all that I feel, and the melody transmuted from those feelings. And that's why, as long as I still breathe, I can't stop playing.
I'm required to apprehend wanted criminals, but if necessary, I can also pull the trigger.
Oh, I don't doubt that. It'll happen one day, and there's no doubt that it will be Federico Giallo who kills Arturia Giallo. But do you think that daylight can kill the Dark Knight, or order can kill chaos, and reason can kill emotion?
Layering metaphors cannot cover up the essential truth. You are a criminal, and I am an executor. I pursue you in order to fulfill the contract that is my duty.
You believe uncertainty to be a kind of emotion. That's why you're always seeking answers through rational analysis. But it's not your rationality that's led you to me again and again. It's your confusion. You saw and heard it yourself. Today, countless lives were lost in chaos. If only you'd followed my advice and given up on me, instead lending your aid to that envoy of the Empress. With your skills and how sharp you are, you could have easily found the one hiding in the shadows, manipulating the chaos. But again and again, you chose to prioritize looking for me.
You are where my duty lies. I will not regret my decision.
I know you won't. But look, now you've caught me. So, satisfy my curiosity, Federico. Do you feel no satisfaction right this very moment? Caesar! So you people came too. Recover the Guldnes Gesetz as well.
Arturia is my target.
Herr Federico Giallo, executor of the Lateran Curious Fifth Tribunal. It's extremely unlikely that the Sancta before you has committed what amounts to the highest offense in Leithanien. She must come with us for our investigation.
I thought the gendarmerie was in charge of the upcoming inquest.
It's the Kaiserin's orders to take Arturia.
Does that mean that you cannot guarantee Arturia will be dealt with according to the law?
As I said, these are the Kaiserin's orders.
I have sent a total of 27 explanatory letters, in addition to repeating my mission objective to the now deceased officer in charge, Loris Borden.
In that case, Frau Jonas, would it be possible for Herr Executor to participate in Arturia's interrogation? That's not part of my order. To Leithanien, Arturia is a most dangerous criminal. No one is to be allowed anywhere near her without Her Majesty's explicit permission. Then that includes you. What? Let's go. Will we meet again, Federico, before my consciousness fades away? Jonas. They call her the cruelest executor in Grimmacht's spire. How did she get here so fast? Did Grimmacht... I'll talk to her. Herr Executor, don't you want to chase after them?
If Leithanien can ensure that Arturia will never commit a crime again, my highest priority mission objective will be considered complete. However, as she said, I feel no satisfaction in this. It has become much quieter outside the spire, yet the black flames continue to burn. Viviana has forgotten which floor of the spire she's on. The spiral stairs all look the same. Her candlelight flickers a few times before finally going out. Frau Droste?
Pim? Why are you still here?
I'm in pretty bad shape. At least this way I won't be a bother to the kids.
You were burned by the black flames. Half your body is...
It's fine. I'm glad I got to see you again. By seeing you, I can at least confirm that I haven't turned into some kind of monster that walks even in death. The disaster has been averted, right? The Empress's voice, the Gesetzeswächter, they're all here, right? Are the Witch King's remains all dead and the students safe?
I suppose so.
It's strange. I saw the captain just now.
Haloris Borden?
He said I did pretty well, and did the Gendarmerie proud. Once the ceremony's over, my mother will get the Kaiserin's black gold medal.
But that's only for those who've fallen.
It's hopeless for me, right?
I don't want to lie to you.
Meine Dame, when I see you looking at me like that, it doesn't hurt so much anymore. Your candlelight is so warm. When I first got to Zwillingstürme, I nearly gave up. I couldn't keep up with how exhausting the training was day after day. Only when I saw that tiny light you held in the arena, lighting up every one of my...
He did not deserve to fall into eternal slumber on these spiral stairs. If he could have just a little more light, a little more warmth. Viviana knows that she is not a lighthouse, but she is capable of that much.
Auf Wiedersehen, Pim. May this candlelight accompany you as you drift into eternal slumber.
Grimnacht's envoy said she's just up ahead. Step aside, Cora. Let me take care of the rubble here first.
Let me do it. You've already... Wait, these footsteps... Viviana! Frau Löwenstein, Hereina.
Good.
Mein Herr? Let him get some rest. Raising the curtain by force took its toll on his body. But he's still standing. He'd never let himself collapse in front of so many. Brand's really worn himself out all these years. Before the battle, he saw me as my father. That's always weighed heavy on his mind. 23 years ago, House Hochberg suffered great losses at the Witch King's Spire, and because of his position as a Gesetzeswächter, Brand wasn't able to come to their aid in time. Because of that, Ernst, his closest friend and the heir to the Hochbergs, perished in battle. That's also why your father, Werner, had to succeed him as Kurfürst. The remorse he felt toward Ernst and Werner has been eating away at his soul all this time, and today, when forced to choose between destroying Sonata Spire and saving you, he chose you. I never imagined. I knew he'd make the choice. I'd have done the same. I was so scared back there. I am prepared to make any sacrifices necessary, but you? Not you. I'm glad we didn't lose you. I'm one of the lucky ones. On my way here, I came across many who've passed away. I did my best, but I wasn't able to rescue everyone. The casters will figure out how to eliminate the black flames. The victims will be taken care of. Things will get better. They won't have suffered for nothing. This place will be completely different tomorrow. I'll make sure you get to see that for yourself, Viviana. I promise. What a beautiful sunrise.
Arturia begins to hum.
Barrier. We know a thing or two about your arts, meine Dame. Now, neither you nor your cello are capable of making a sound.
Arturia continues to silently hum. You've made up your mind. The voice of the mundane. Been dying to have someone take it away. If you've no plans to use it as a bomb, then be my guest. So you finally believe me? I admit I owe you an apology.
And a word of thanks. If it wasn't for you, then I might not be Ebenholz right now, but some other thing. But please, spare me all this nonsense about trust or what have you. I'd rather not see you pounce on me and knock me out with your sword the moment I spit out the words I trust you. I wasn't planning to. For now. Well, that's nice. Someone's playing the cello. They're mourning the victims with music. It was just like this when I first met Gerhard. He told me that through music, the wills of the dead are carried on through us. He was so quiet and gentle. I really thought he was... I'm an idiot, aren't I? I couldn't even see through their masks. I couldn't even see who was controlling my life. How I wish I could be more like... No matter how many obstacles he encountered, he never lost hope. He even smiled as he... This piece... What's wrong? Who's playing the cello up there? The dormitory isn't far. Maybe a student. That's impossible. Calm down. We can't expose ourselves yet. It's exactly the same. How could it be exactly the same? The sky is blue and fine. The breeze lilts by in song. The river murmurs clear. My heart is filled with hope. Where did you learn to play it like that?
I'm nothing special, really.
Not your technique, you fool, your emotions. Where did you learn to play this cello piece almost exactly like he did? No one else played like him. I checked over and over. After he died, I've been to so many places and listened to even more musicians play that same piece. Who was your teacher?
Arturia. My teacher's name is Arturia.
Is she a sancta? A sancta with very long hair, who dresses plainly?
Do you know her too? I saw her just today. She told me to keep practicing here, without worrying about the sound outside.
Without worrying about the sound? That sancta. Is she a remnant of the Witch King too?
No, that's impossible. She's very kind.
Where is she? I need to see her. I need to question her myself. Another headache? Did you know, Lessing? He and I... Everything in our lives was given to us by others. Our pain, our joy, our despair. So, if even our hope... I don't know if I actually want to that answer.
Have you thought it through?
What is there to think about? The school was burned down by Herkomsson's embers. I could miss it all I want, but that won't bring it back. I've forgotten, how long have I been in Leithanien? 500 years? Longer? When I first got here, there was nothing. No nomadic cities, no spires, no nobles. Back then, everyone lived in the forests by the lakes. They lit fires to eat, and used rocks to shelter from the wind.
To us, a few decades are more than enough for a city to rise and fall, a man to go from young to old, or a pair of close companions to have a falling out, and go their separate ways.
That's right. It's been but an instant since this place went from Vidunian to Zwillingstürme. I wonder what the city will be called next.
And what? And when that lamb with the rotten luck and a brain full of nothing but melodies is taken care of, I'll fulfill my promise to you. After that, I think I'll take a stroll around town.
And once that's done,
we'll leave. Tell the nobles they can have a good night's sleep. For once.
I've already explained it to them long ago.
Explain what? That liches aren't like vampires and don't get involved with military commission business, so they can rest easy that this place won't be the next Londinium? Do you really believe they simply don't understand Grimmacht? And are you really so whimsically unaware of who stands behind those nobles that want to chase the liches out? You too can deal with the fallout afterwards. The liches have indeed stayed here for far too long. Knowledge should never have taken the side of any other nation or race. Do you even know how many Leithanien terms our rats use in their writing these days? It's absolutely outrageous! We should have left when Hakutson bought the farm. This is just a belated farewell.
The white-haired lich lifts his hand. As though having been granted permission, a large number of slender silhouettes appears beneath the setting sun. Perhaps they'd been standing there the whole time. They were simply masquerading as ordinary students and faculty. However, from this moment onwards, they are no longer concerned with how different they are from other Leithanians. The liches all raise their hands. Countless paper-thin strands of silk extend from their bodies and into the dark clouds up above. Then a radiance like starlight comes falling down. Looking up, many of the students see the sunset, the night, and the sunrise all at once. Within that brimming radiance, the dark flames on the earth are extinguished without a sound. Not long after, the silk-threaded shadows also disappear into dreamlike rain. Ever since, no more trace of the liches could be found in Leithanien's spires.
Well, what to say about this whole cutscene? Cool and heartbreaking. I will not lie, the Ebenholt scenes towards the end were probably one of the most difficult things I've recorded so far in this story, not gonna lie. Because of several reasons. I'll say this, the moment the music started creeping into the background in those final moments, oh no, PTSD memories kicking in, oh god, that was something, but damn, man, the poor guy. In other places, I have one little complaint about this whole scene, one tiny teensy little complaint. Why was there no CG for Grimmacht splitting and demolishing that tower into smithereens? I was expecting to see something epic. The way it was described, I was just waiting for like it to fade into the screen. Just her obliterating the thing as she descends from the top. But no. Oh, and by the way, one quick thing. How many of you have actually noticed that Grimmacht's eyes switched from purple to like a bluish lightning color when she was in like that battle form or whatever she was doing there? That was a neat little detail, caught me a bit off guard because I was starting to question myself. Wait, weren't her eyes a different color there before? But yeah, definitely her eyes being shifting colors when she's all angry and in battle form. Very cool. Still, why was there no CG? Still, at the same time, all the new effects that they are using now effectively. Yes, please, more. I want some more. Anyway, let's proceed. There are no new enemies to add here, so we continue on to our cutscene only stage. ZTSD-2 Intermezzo Unfinished Fugue. This unfinished fugue has no ending, just as the dark conspiracies have not reached their conclusion.
The rising of the Urtica secret chamber destroyed the original plate of Ludwig's Universität. Coupled with the influence of Hakon's Horn's arts, the school can no longer function normally. For now, the Empress's voice have taken over the cleanup operation from the gendarmerie. Unaffected students and faculty have been relocated to neighboring Ostendorfhof. The cleanup will take about a week. Thereafter, they will be able to return to campus.
No need. Ludwig's Universität's library will be relocated to Neu-Leopoldshof and fall under the purview of the Rijksmuseum. The other campuses and faculties will be merged into the Reichskunstakademie in Bachshof. The Gesetzeswächter will be in charge of disposing of all the remaining plates belonging to Urtica.
But then Ludwig's Universität will...
Ludwig's Universität will become history.
Your Majesty,
Are you surprised?
when I received the summon, I thought...
You thought I would be Lieselotte.
My apologies.
You did well. Lieselotte thinks very highly of you.
Dankeschön, Your Majesty. If you hadn't graced us with your presence yesterday...
It's behind us. No need to speak of it again.
Your Majesty, there is one other thing.
Oh?
Arturia, the wanted Sancta, I bumped into her and she mentioned my father. I would like to know if she had something to do with his death. If you would permit me.
We've been over this, Hochberg. The case of the Witch King's remains stealing a copy of the Güldenes Gesetz has been closed.
Brandt,
Your Majesty, you're here as well.
have you come to see Cora? She's currently rehearsing the Güldenes Gesetz. The delay caused by the Witch King's remains has us all worried about tomorrow's performance.
Rest assured, the movement is flawless at all times.
Cora said the same. How long have you gone without a break? Why not take a vacation after the celebration? You could go back to Sturmland together, not as a Reichsorchestra tuner and Gesetzeswächter, but as Cora and Brandt. This is a reward, not a punishment, for mopping up the Witch King's remains. You and Viviana have done fine work, and I've taken notice. Just remember that opportunity does not last forever. Some things must be said before it's too late.
Thank you, Your Majesty, for the reminder.
And another thing, I'll need at least 20 Gesetzeswächter for tomorrow's celebration.
What? Does Grimmacht know about this?
Every year, the Kaiserlichen Fest begins with the Reichsorchestra's performance of the Güldenes Gesetz and ends with my duet with Hildegard. I wonder, this year, will the people still appreciate our performance?
I have no doubt, Your Majesty.
Could I ask you a question, Brandt?
By all means.
Assume your most prized possession has a crack in it. Would you turn a blind eye to it? Pretend you didn't notice? You're going to leave Zwillingstürme?
Arturia is under control. I will return to Laterano and report to His Holiness the Pope. We will subsequently seek formal legal cooperation from Leithanien.
Alright, but I should remind you, tomorrow is the Kaiserlichen Fest. Zwillingstürme will be very lively. Young people from other regions, even other countries, will all join in the merrymaking.
Correct. I had noticed an increase in foot traffic.
And so I wanted to ask, Herr Executor, won't you stay just one more day?
Please explain why I do that.
Arturia has been apprehended, the copy of the Guldnes Gesetz has been recovered, and the Witch King's remains have been more or less wiped out. It seems like everything's all taken care of, but I can't shake this uneasy feeling. Grimart says I have a unique sense for danger. I mean, of course, it might just be my imagination.
For matters pertaining to internal Leithanien affairs, I suggest you confer with your Empress.
She's been too busy to see me today.
So that's why you have time to escort me out of the city? I had assumed this was an official duty.
A duty? No, it's not my duty to monitor you. And having come all the way to Zwillingstürme, wouldn't you like to stay a bit longer, make some new friends, see the sights?
Friends and sights.
Are you looking at that coffee shop?
I could try the drink Loris recommended before I leave.
Herr Sancta!
You are Julia's brother, Jan. Do you work at this coffee shop?
Yeah, I need to save money so I can study abroad when I'm ready. I thought I'd never see you again. I've heard that the executors of the Lateran Notorio Hall carry out the wills of Lateran citizens. Is that right?
An acceptable summary.
And you also solve cases?
So long as it is part of a binding document, I will do everything in my power to carry it out.
Wunderbar! Loris left me a key before he died. He said there were clues about my sister's case in his house. But I'm not a detective after all, and wasn't sure who to give the key to.
This is the residence of Loris Borden.
This is a home in Zwillingstürme. You've barely known Borden for an afternoon, and he left you his entire house?
What he left me are clues to a case. Look, the wall, the table, the drawers, everywhere. These are all clues regarding Julia Schuler, the girl who disappeared over 10 years ago. And a letter. Loris claimed to have accepted defeat, but actually he never gave up on the case.
I almost forgot that you're a case solving machine. Even if they made you a graph and granted you the tallest spire in Zwillingstürmehof, you would hardly blink, would you?
A false premise, that is. There is no precedent for a Lateran saint being conferred a title by another country.
And what do you have to do with Lateran sainthood? Are you suggesting that you had executed and bear the title of saint?
Yes.
Like the founders and the popes?
I'm unclear on what you mean by like in this context, but nominally yes.
I may need to reevaluate our need to monitor you, Herr Saint.
You are an executor to an empress. I had assumed you had some familiarity with my background.
I thought I did too.
Do not worry, whether or not I hold the title of saint is not particularly relevant to my work in Leithanien. My executorial duty is to capture Arturia, as well as executing the wills of Lateran citizens. As the Arturia case is on temporary hold, fulfilling the will of Loris Borden is my next objective.
Was that hesitation? I've never seen you hesitate before.
I still have questions about the Arturia case.
What questions?
I need to think. Federico looks at the piano to the side of the room. Like most Leithanians, Loris had musical instruments in his room. However, judging from the many files and folders on its bench, he did not play the piano often. Simply tap the black and white keys in a certain rhythm and a melody will be created. People have taken such immediate feedback for granted, yet there are still many questions that, once sprouted, are pushed away, unanswered.
The piece you just played, is it the one from yesterday at Ludwig's Universität?
Der Tod des Hexenkönigs. Arturia interpreted the emotions of Loris Borden and Brandt Reiner, as well as the others who witnessed the Witch King's demise. She turned their strongest feelings into notes, creating this piece.
I wanted to know what she discovered in those emotions.
The notes may be the same, but the feelings are so different. Hey, Executor, are you and Arturia really related by blood? If misplaying an instrument were a crime, you might well be arrested as soon as you step out of the door.
I did not play a single note wrong.
But there was no emotion whatsoever. You can't grasp music by memorizing its rules. You have to, picture the emotion it conveys. For example, Loris Borden, you have to become him. Imagine the night he charged into the Witch King's spire. Picture how he became a hero, how crestfallen he was by Yulia's case, and
When you're finally forced to doubt yourself and find yourself wavering, lost, like me, you'll realize that you need a strength, a reason. And that's when you'll discover that the law offers no guidance. Why do barriers never cease to be? Is mankind doomed never to understand one another? The tiniest chaos is enough to shatter the order. The moment confusion envelops, people begin to hurt one another. Each era has its own trials and tribulations, for which we can only prepare to the best of our ability. It is certain, however, that you have been chosen because it believes that you have the ability to respond to the unknown. You are well aware that there is another besides yourself very unique among the Sancta. Bring her back, if possible. I need to meet with her, face to face.
Fede, your whole life, you have been different from all the others. Can you really not see everything I see in the music? Thanks to Grimmacht, both my ears and my soul have been saved. A failed attempt, I take it? Let's try that again. We have to acknowledge that some people simply lack the talent for music.
Yes, I cannot emphasize with Loris or anyone else, nor do I see the illusions created by the notes. But I do have realized that emotions are also information.
What do you mean by that?
As you said, Arturia's performances are completely different from mine. The notes arranged in order have no inherent meaning, but with added emotion they become a piece of music beloved by you people. And so I have come to understand that emotion is a kind of additional information. Arturia played her music, playing the hearts of Loris and others to extract information from their powerful emotions that even they themselves could not retrieve. This is something only Arturia could do. Her objective has not yet been achieved, nor will she abandon it. There will be even greater chaos in the coming days here in Zwillingstürme.
Are you certain?
I could spend time explaining the finer logic to you, but I assess that you will find it difficult to share my thought process. As such, I suggest you consider my conclusion a kind of intuition.
Herr Executor, there is someone you should see. She can help you.
Congratulations, you're about to be rid of me. What? I shouldn't say such things. What would you rather hear? Mockery, anger, curses? Or a seemingly invincible enemy, pulled straight from a story, begging for mercy before their departure from the stage? Don't forget, you wanted to see me. Whenever you have doubts, you unconsciously seek out my voice. You want to hear me deny you, and then in denying me, you can win some silly comfort for yourself. It is not I who needs you. You need me. Bloodline of Ortica, Franz Ebenholz. Without me, what does your future hold? It's done. What do you mean? What's done?
I've removed the voice of Mundane from your head.
But
nothing happened, is that it? It could never summon the Genesis Horn in the first place. It's like watching a crowd of people nervously gather to light a fuse and blow a Zwillingstürme up, only to hear a soft pop like a Glumpitzer's depressing fart.
But didn't you say the melody of the Witch King could open the door to the Genesis Horn?
Yes, the right melody. Do you think you can open a locked door with any old key? Don't compare my research on Helkun's Horn with the pile of rubbish they stuffed into your brain. Those idiots and their infected bombing couldn't manage a thing. Huh, the voice of Mundane. Do the people who come up with that stuff even know the difference between a proper creation and a belch? Was it Gerhard who filled your heads with all this? Would you mind if I dug him up and knocked him around a little bit more?
But they told me the voice of Mundane housed the Witch King's avatar.
Avatar? Avatar. That'd be like me rolling my soul into a ball and tossing it into the amphitheater beneath the spire for you stupid lambs to kick about. You really think that can be done? That's enough, boy. I'm in a bad mood. A positively rotten one. I thought by doing this one last favor for Grimmacht, I'd be able to take my things and finally be rid of this wretched place. Who'd have thought those masked morons would make a fool of me? No, they made me a whole circus. I should have Ermengarde look me over, see if our Lich's age has any effect on his brain.
He said the voice of Mundane is just noise.
It is certainly a melody left by the Witch King, that's true. But Gerhard and his men misunderstood its power. It isn't the key to the Witch King's legacy.
Then what about the voice in my head?
I don't understand the arts behind it. The problem of the voice of Mundane has been resolved. You may still suffer headaches and hallucinations, but I expect they won't be so bad going forward. Just to be safe, you should stay here and rest a while. Then leave Zwillingstürme after das Kaiserinnenfest.
So the voice is just my imagination then? All these years and all my struggles were just in my head? In the somewhat more figurative sense? Apparently I have nothing whatsoever to do with any grand plans of those lofty conspirators. And to speak of killing myself before I went to bed. I've been mad for a long, long time.
I don't have time to discuss this with you.
Right.
Your grandfather said that the rubbish in my head tainted the research on Helkun's Horn. So why care about me, an inferior product, particularly after we've known that none of his power lies within me? I can't summon a catastrophe cloud with a wave of my hand, nor can I cleave a spire with a swing of a sword. What do you want? The power is still there. Since you've removed the voice of the Mundane, why not kill me? The voice of Mundane is not the key, meaning I'm of no use to the Twin Empresses. Why not burn me and mine to ashes, like all the experiments of the Witch King era? Because there is no need? Is that it? Then what about my brother? He died. He died because of a stupid plan, like, to borrow a phrase like a Glumpitzer's depressing fart. Such nonsense, such irony. He was grateful, you know, right up until he died. Grateful for our meeting, grateful for the instructor who taught him the cello. But our meeting was exploited by Gertrude. The teacher he admired was mixed up with the Witch King's remains. And now you tell me the voice of the Mundane was all a wacky misunderstanding the entire time. So we lived, died, met, parted, all for what? Where is the meaning, any of it? Alright, if you want an answer, I'll tell you. You're right, there was no meaning in any of it. Set aside the Urtica name. Without the voice of Mundane, you're nothing but a self-absorbed, self-harming, self-destructive, empty shell of a pretty boy. Perfect. You finally did it.
Now take up your arts unit. Why not unwrap the bandages on your sword? That would make this execution go even smoother. The man before me is unworthy of it. Even now, you just have to humiliate... Then fight back. Prove me wrong by your actions. You loathe the bloodline of the Witch King, but have you ever sought out the victims of his persecution to make amends, to help them, to compensate them? You loathe the title of Graf Urtica, but have you ever looked into the safety of the commoners, taken note of the decline of your domain, caught between the Twin Empresses and the Witch King's remains? You lament being the only survivor, but you have not been cherishing the life ahead of you. Instead, you constantly throw yourself into danger. You say you were a prisoner of your spire, but who in the end has never looked beyond his cage at anyone else? Lessing's sword moves so quickly that dodging is nearly impossible. He's rarely spoken so many words in one breath. At first, Ebenholz had no intention of dodging, but almost instinctively, the Originium dice float into the air. Arts pour out uncontrollably, like fiery rage. Blood, title, duty, everything was forced upon me by fate. I tried, I stood against it, and in the end you tell me there was never any need to? Why? Why did I have to go through all this when I'm nobody at all? Lessing's sword presses against Ebenholz's throat. The Originium dice fall to the side. The battle is over. The outcome a surprise to no one. Our fight against fate never belonged to any of us. And so, what does the suffering we've endured even count for? I never received a noble's education, and I don't throw around words like fate. I only know that all the suffering is real. I've seen street hawkers beaten by the gendarmerie in the alleyways. I've seen old men freeze to death on the roadside after losing their farmland to the rural nobility. They'll all never see the Witch King, the Twin Empresses, or a Kurfürsten in their life. They'll never have the time or energy to contemplate fate, suffering, or meaning. That's life in the shadow of the spires, for the great masses of Leithanien. No one can overcome an abstract concept. If you want revenge, choose a concrete target. The Witch King, the Twin Empresses, the still living remnants. We fight to survive, and we don't stop until our own blood or that of our enemies runs dry. Fight. The Witch King's legacy still exists, wherever it is. Enemies shrouded in darkness may find it at any moment, and use it to unleash suffering on the great masses once again. You can still stay in this spire and continue lamenting your fate, or you can challenge me again and die by my hand. Or you can join me in seeking the Witch King's legacy. Help me find the true culprit, who may still be alive in some form. Choose. Ebenholz feels the sword against his throat, still wrapped in bandages. Were it not wrapped, he would have smelled blood. Of course, he does not mean that Lessing can't kill him. The warrior's expression is cold, but his eyes burn with anger. Why is he angry? Why does he still have expectations for a man like him? Would you kindly pass me my arts unit?
Why aren't they here?
Frau Hochbach, what is it you're looking for?
Sketches. Frida Seemann's drawings. Since Hereine and I left, has anyone else been in this room?
No suspicious individuals, meine Dame. After you and Herr Gesetzespächter left, the Imperial casters carefully inspected the entire alley. After confirming no traces of the Witch King's remains and no dangerous witchcraft or items, they left. Are the drawings you're looking for involved in some important case?
A case?
Viviana recalls Grimmacht's words.
The case of the Witch King's remains stealing a copy of the Gildeness Gazette has been closed.
No. It's merely personal. Frau Siemens' work is incredibly beautiful. It always evokes some marigold memories in me. Please don't alert the others, though. I don't want too many people to know I've been here.
Of course, rest assured, the gendarmerie will never disclose your movements.
So lovely. Marigolds, sunlight, such beautiful things tend to inspire creativity and nurture emotion. No wonder so many Leithanien artists love this alley. Werner von Hochberg, he was obsessed with it until the day he died. Might you be Frau Giala? Weren't you taken away by the Grimmachtcasters? I'm certainly not here. And you didn't really bump into your father back there either. This is all in your imagination. Is this also an effect of your arts? You're rather skilled in Originium arts yourself. What do you think? I haven't noticed anything unusual. People often misunderstand my arts. The truth is, I can't do very much at all. People are just ignorant of their own hearts. Or even if they do know, they're unwilling to face themselves. I told you the first time we met, my melodies resonate with the emotions deep inside the human heart, and once they ripple, they are hard to ignore. It's you who wants to change your father's fate. The one talking to you, well, I'm afraid it's you yourself. Is that so? You yearn to know the cause of your father's death. You fear that the conspiracy of the Witch King's remains is not yet through. You suspect that the farce performed by Ludwig's Universität was just a diversion. You wonder if perhaps the Kaiserinnen wanted to kill the Curve first. 9. But you see, you can't hold back the birth of this thought. If your father were standing here, what would he do? My father. He wouldn't do anything. He would accept his fate's plan and turn away. Even though he would go on to live with endless pain and regret. And so, what about you? Would you do the same? He and I... Frau Giala?
Do not mistake me for that distant relative of mine. There is no need for you to brandish your arts unit in my direction.
This whole area is encircled by Leithanien finest gendarmerie. Who are you, Herr Sancta?
I am an executor. I work for Michael.
Michael is a good boy. I guess I can trust you.
That went surprisingly well. At Michael's suggestion, I would like to provide a clue regarding Arturia.
What is it?
There is a high probability that she is planning an even more serious incident. Senora Viviana von Hochberg, it is my hope that we can cooperate and put a stop to her plans. Alright then, that was ST2 and oh boy, they really are bringing stuff back, aren't they? Oh, the piano scene and then seeing Clement's name at the bottom. Oh, just Federico trying to get into emotional stuff is also... Come on, man. If he ever figures out how emotions work or understands them completely and naturally, that's gonna be a world wonder moment. But damn, he's trying. He's at least trying. I do love how Michael immediately smacks him with the truth of how bad his playing is. Even though he's playing probably completely okay, it's just like there's, like he says, no emotion in his play. It's just someone pressing the keys. But yeah, damn. Why
Why are they're really bringing shit back. They're really just bringing shit back just to drive it further home, aren't they? Oh, anyway, we continue on to ZT-6, titled Valse Mask. The ball is finally over, and the dancers remove their masks. But why can I still not see your face? As a reminder, we're gonna only do the before part, so let's begin.
Stop knocking on the windowsill. Are you trying to send a secret message? As you can see, I'm unable to play my cello because it's been arts locked. It is uncomfortable. Unless you would care to join me for a chat. Absolutely not. Very well then, I suppose I'll have to wait for another guest. Try anything funny, and we'll bind your arms and legs with arts. My apologies, but Grima has forbidden anyone from meeting with Arturia. Not even an Empress's voice? No exceptions. Then, what about Ignatius' envoy? Ignatius sent you? Was that not clear enough? No, this is a surprise. To think you'd be the first to come and see me. This is the second time we've met, Arturia. Oh, more than that, I would think. How many times have we met in the sound of music? I see your words are as mysterious as your music. And yourself. Me? Mysterious? On the contrary, I'm far more open and frank than most. So an Empress's voice, a paragon of law and order, has come to meet with a dangerous felon alone. Even going as far as to fake an Empress's orders to do so. That must have taken quite a bit of determination. You knew I wasn't sent by Ignatius? There's nothing she could possibly want to ask me, but you, Viviana, your face is full of question marks. So what would you like to know? From your former enemy? Allow me to guess. You want to know the truth behind your father's death? Yeah. That said, I'm not used to answering questions. Do I need to offer you something in exchange? A trade? How about you simply open yourself up to me and allow me to search your heart? That's... Oh, pardon my impertinence. Then let's tell a story together, as usual. Once upon a time, there was a child who lived on top of a tower in the middle of a storm. Until the age of 9, she never left her little room in the tower. You know my... Oh, don't give me that look. Like I said, this is simply a story we're telling together. Imagine that you're a part of it and reach out to yourself. Very well. Tell me, what is it about the tower that left the deepest impression on the child? The window. It was a small room. The window was small too. You could reach out and touch the cold, wet clouds. The storms rarely abate in Sturmland, do they? Yeah. Dark lightning often knocked at the window. My mother would hold me, telling me stories and reading me poems in a soft, gentle voice. What about your father? One night a week, he would come to the spire where I lived, bringing me books and teaching me to play instruments. You looked forward to these meetings? Did you leave your room and wait for him at the top of the staircase, where it was almost time? When I was little, but I stopped. What happened? The skies were very dark that day. It had been a long time since my father's last visit. I was out of candles and I wanted to find some, so I went further than I usually did. I saw so many children and adults. The music combined with their laughter was louder than the thunder. And that's when you realized that not every child had to stay in their room like you did, that they could hold their parents' hands and dance and sing to their heart's delight. Yeah. Did you see your father there? Did you look for him? I wanted to, but my mother pulled me back. She covered my ears and tried to cover my eyes too. It hurt a bit, but I didn't dare to say anything. She brought you back to your little room. Did you look up? Nine, I kept my eyes closed. I heard my mother crying, but I didn't dare look at her. Didn't dare? Yeah, I didn't dare go down the stairs. I didn't dare look at my father anymore. I never looked up again, even after my mother passed away, when my father sent me away from the spire. Why not? My father was a Kurfürst. He and my mother weren't married. My existence was a secret that would hurt my mother and make things difficult for my father if anyone found out. No, that's not what I'm asking. How did you feel? Me? You were the one trapped in the spire. You were the one forbidden to recognize your father. You were the one who watched your mother waste away. You were the one sent away from home. When you went to Casimir's and decided to become a knight, you held a sliver of expectation. After all, the stories of your childhood, the stories about knights, had long been your source of comfort. But you soon realized you were no more than a puppet of the General Chamber of Commerce. Even your childhood in the spire was boiled down to an exotic label, the Leithanien, an advertisement designed to sell in the markets of both countries. You left the arena after getting on the wrong side of the KGCC. You thought you would finally have some peace and quiet, only to be summoned back to Leithanien by a letter from your father. Once again, you find your fate written by another, illegitimate child, competition knight, Empress's voice. You never chose any of these identities. And it all started on that spire, at the top of those stairs. You're right. It's been so many years, but sometimes I feel like I'm still there. Like I never left it. Once again, think back to the memory that left the deepest impression. That day, when your father took your hand and ascended these seemingly endless stairs, you didn't look up. I couldn't. If I did, he would have seen the tear stains on my face and the tears in my eyes. Anger. I already lost my mother. Why are you pushing me away like this? Yeah, I had nothing. Why abandon me? I already lost my mother. Why did I have to lose my father too? Why couldn't you have waited in Marigold Alley just a little longer? Why did you write me to come back, only to leave me again once I'd returned with hope in my heart?
Arturia does not answer. She simply gazes at Viviana, at the ripples in the lake of her eyes. If silence can be considered an expression of sound, then their emotions could resonate even without a melody. Anger, frustration, pain, the same emotions reflected in Arturia's eyes. She sighs and awakens the dreamer from her memory with gentle words.
That's enough story time. Svana was my friend Viviana. Our meeting was so ordinary that it's hardly worth mentioning. He was a high noble, but also a sensitive and romantic artist. We often spoke about music. A few months ago, his envoy found me while I was traveling. He knew his days were numbered. All he wanted was to see his beloved again through my music. He wanted to see Mother? Not just Lucinda, but you as well. Vanna did reminisce about his romance with Lucinda, but he spent even more time in that little room on the spire. Those nights with you and your mother were his only comfort in those painful early days as Kurfürst. That's how I knew your story. So it wasn't... No, I did not use arts on you. I'd already met you countless times through Vanna's mind's eye. You must hear this often, but you really are so much like your father. I know. But it was only when I saw you in person that I realized. You're more than just that flickering candle. More than... what? You're so much stronger, so much tougher than a candle flame. Now, I've told you everything I could. Kurfürst Vanna died over the copy of the Guldengesetz. On that matter, you know as much as I do. You told me he knew his end was coming, which means he knew how he would die. Correct. Protecting the Guldengesetz was his vow to the twins, and his duty as Kurfürst of Sturmland. Whether it was the movement or its loss, the responsibility and blame lie solely on Sturmland. Only by giving his life for it could he protect his loved ones and House Hochberg, all while ridding himself of a ticking time bomb. It was all for the Guldengesetz? I think I understand. One last bit of advice to thank you for your trust and sincerity. When I first saw you, I also saw the shadow behind you. But now it's growing, filling the entire staircase outside. Danke, Arturia, for the answers. My dear Viviana, how pitiable, how noble. Will you be swallowed by the shadow?
Phew, made it. You move so quickly, Eddie, I could hardly keep up. Pardon my excitement. I thought I wouldn't be able to leave Sturmland, but the Empress's voice delayed the visit. Kurfürsten succession ceremonies rarely take this long. Not since the reign of the Witch King. Stop worrying. While in Zwillingstürme, what could be more important than seeing their majesties? Hurry, and we may even secure a seat closer to the Twin Spires before anyone else arrives. Hey, why is that man not moving? Guten Tag. Are you here for das Kaiserinnenfest too? I suppose so. Where is your instrument then? What are you going to do for the ensemble? The ensemble? The ensemble of the Guldengesetz, the most important part of the ceremony, bathing in the glory of both the Golden Melody and Leithanien. This is my master's first time attending. I have his flute with me. Oh, of course. Do forgive my noisiness. Which Kreis do you hail from? Very quickly here, because they don't translate this one. Kreis means circle, so from which circle do you hail from? Does it matter? Oh no, I don't mean to pry, only that it's customary for those from the same Kreis to stand together. I see. Please go ahead, we will follow. Oh, very good then. Danke mein Herr. May Grimmacht's glory and Ewignadet's blessings orbit you like the sun. Seeing the Twin Empresses spires for the first time. The white dress of Ewignade, the eternal grace. The black blade of Grimmacht, the austere authority. Their two spires resemble them so very much. The twin spires are Zwillingstürme's namesake. They're the pride of Leithanien. No matter how beautiful, they're no more than two elaborate cages. An apt metaphor.
The Skyzerinen Fest. They say it's for all Leithanians, but only nobles are allowed to join in the ensemble at the amphitheater. It is in effect a performance of an arts ritual. A ritual? Did you see the bridge connecting the spires? That's where the Twin Empresses play every year. The sound of the pipe organ and violin are amplified by the resonance between the buildings, spreading to every corner of Zwillingstürme. So it's some kind of arts. The old man told me that it's the work of Herkomsthorn. He turned Vidunian into a massive arts device, with the bell tower of Weinshof at the center. And the Twin Empresses have built upon the Witch King's arts. To avoid making the same mistake as him, they set the twin spires as the center of the resonance, effectively tuning the entire city and making it virtually impossible to assail these spires from the outside. Anyone wanting to attack the Kaiserinnen will either need to destroy the entire palace area where the spires are located, or work from within. Spoken like someone who's given some thought to planning such an attack. Wait, don't tell me you actually... If we see the gendarmerie or the Empress's voice, remind me to run faster than you. Quiet. The celebration is about to begin. People are coming. Try to blend into the crowd. Don't just stand there like earlier. What about when the ensemble begins? We didn't bring any instruments, unless your sword is a fair bit more versatile than it looks. If the ensemble begins.
I met a distant relative of yours. Exactly as you predicted, she offered a generous lead. Perhaps we really are trapped in some kind of illusion they created. What if the Witch King's remnants aren't trying to use the Guldenesgesetz to get to the Witch King's legacy, but to use the Witch King's powers to tamper with it? What if their goal has never truly changed? What are you still doing here, meine Dame? All the Empress's voices in Zwillingstürme have been summoned to the amphitheater. I'll be on my way. The cell holds a dangerous felon, and it is quite far from the amphitheater. I'll need to contact Grimmachts.
I would not recommend that.
A Sancta? What's a Sancta doing here? Let's catch him together, meine Dame. He may well be in league with Arturia. Sorry.
I was about to ask your opinion on how to handle this.
So if I weren't here, you would have simply done it yourself?
My presence here already violates diplomatic protocol. An additional rule being broken is of little consequence, other than in terms of the subsequent cleanup. You are an Empress's voice. Mihail has told me of your circumstances.
I appreciate your kind gesture.
Huh?
It was my own decision to visit Arturia. I didn't want my father's death to be meaningless. I didn't want to keep my head down and pretend nothing had happened. I wanted to fight for something, to finally seize my own fate with my own two hands.
You chose to let Arturia perform your heart's music?
9. The melody was already there, echoing in my heart. I just chose not to listen to it until now. I believe she's telling the truth, that the Guldenesgesetz is at the heart of the problem.
The Imperial casters have recovered the copy of Guldenesgesetz. However, I have learned that Arturia has an accomplice with whom she was in close contact. The available evidence indicates that this person may not have been the mastermind behind the Ludwigsuniversität incident.
Then we can assume that the Witch King's remnants have already obtained the arts recorded in the copy. The Guldenesgesetz will be performed by over 10,000 people at the amphitheater. If the Witch King's remnants are in that crowd, the consequences will be unimaginable.
I would like to share our current findings with Mihail.
Sure, he might be able to persuade Grimmacht. But that's not enough. We must take action ourselves, even without their Majesty's permission. The musicians and instruments are in position, Frau Löwenstein. Very well. Give me a moment while I double-check the amplification arts. You're back, Amelia? Did you forget something? No need to be nervous. This is your first public performance as part of the orchestra. Just hold your instrument steady and focus on the melody. Pay no mind to anyone watching. Oh, it's you. Adjust the direction of that arts unit, will you? Turn it counterclockwise 17 degrees. Yeah, that's how it should sound. But why are you here at this hour? Is Viviana still concerned about the effect on the performance? Frau Löwenstein, where are the other musicians? At the amphitheater. The performance of the Güldenes will begin in 10 minutes. The Reichsorchestra needs a good start under the direction of the Kaiserinnen. Only 10 minutes? The Kaiserinnen's weathercasters have forecasted the exact time of today's sunset. As per custom, the performance of the Güldenes will conclude just as the last ray fades. The rehearsal schedule has been hard, but we'll be able to rest once we get through this evening. You too, Viviana. I've been thinking, you'll need to find a long-term residence in Zwillingstürme if you're to remain by the Kaiserin's side when this is all over. Would you like to stay at my place? I have a little mansion in Boxhof. I just had the walls repainted. Brand planted some vines, which he says goes well with the walls, but to be honest, I'd like a second opinion before I commit. Frau Löwenstein, Cora. Yeah, what is it? How might one stop the performance of the Güldenes? Why do you ask? This performance has been the most important part of das Kaiserinnenfest for the last 23 years. So many people are waiting in the amphitheater in front of the spires. I've almost gotten to the bottom of these tragedies. I'm sure the enemy's plan has something to do with the Güldenes. They cannot be allowed to succeed. And how did you learn this? Have you told Viviana? I don't know whom to trust. I can't stop thinking about who killed my father. You suspect their majesties? You're the Empress's voice, Viviana. Who's there? A friend. He's keeping watch.
The Empress's casters are coming.
So soon?
It will take more than 10 minutes to neutralize them. The performance of the Güldenes is about to begin.
Don't fight them. I'll be with you, Viviana, no matter what you do. You believe me? Do you even need to ask? Besides, I can't let you put yourself in danger. You want to stop the Reichsorchestra from playing the Güldenes, right? I'll take you there. They've gone out. What? The candles on the stairs. The room is so much darker now, don't you think? What are you doing? Stay away from the door. There are less people out there now. Have they gone after that lovely Empress's voice? Frau Hochbach is suspected to have fallen under your influence. She'll be taken into custody until the conclusion of the celebration. It was a mistake to allow her to meet with you. A mistake, you say? You knew the new Empress's voice was the daughter of a Kurfürst and had the favor of Viviana. Compared to working in Grimmacht's dark spire, you clearly show more interest in its twin, the White Spire. So you let the Empress's new favorite come in without the proper checks, just to curry favor with her. But what are you babbling about? But you soon realized the danger. Let me guess. Viviana did something unbefitting of her status after she left, didn't she? Now you're afraid. Grimmacht and her executors will not tolerate such a gross error. You would lose any chance of promotion, perhaps even your freedom. So why do you make a second mistake then? But what? Music! How can this be? Grimmacht, please, Knight, spare me! I can't listen! Too late. There are just too many instruments in Leithanien. Your arts units, like your souls, are laid bare before me.
You're knocking!
You dared not carry your instruments with you in my presence, so you left them outside the door, but in your haste you forgot the protective arts. You forgot that vibrations can be transmitted. The tiniest tremor of a string, and you're hearing my music. Check my crown, would you?
Yeah.
Your fingers are cold.
Sorry. How about this? That better?
You've been clutching your sword all day. Its chill has rubbed off on you.
It's time. We should head to the bridge.
Hildegard.
Yeah? What is it?
Am I pretty today?
As always.
Grimmacht. Ewige Gnade. Your wolf cup is here.
Go first, Liselotte. The people are waiting.
We've always walked onto the bridge together.
Nothing is obliged to stay the same forever. I'll find you before the performance begins. So why are you here? I thought you preferred it down below.
I have an urgent matter to report.
Bring my violin. We'll talk on the way.
9. Please, you must order the celebration to be halted. The Witch King's remnants are in the crowd, planning a massive attack.
Proof?
Please, just give me a little time. I'll find the proof.
You didn't used to be so brash, Michael. That reckless Sancta has changed you.
Federico, the Lateran executor believes that a large incident is in the works, and it has something to do with Arturia. We should interrogate her. What does she know about the Gildnesgesetz? Who are her supporters? What are she and her accomplices planning? As long as the performance of the Gildnesgesetz can be delayed, I can...
I see and believe the celebration to be a mere festivity. The Kaiserinnenfest first took place 23 years ago, on the day we killed the Witch King. But there were no empresses, and no celebration, only soldiers fallen in battle, and a tired and frightened people. We defeated the Witch King in the early dawn, and spent the next few hours cleaning up his followers. At dusk, Liselotte and I descended the spire, walked down its bloody steps, and announced our victory with a duet. Today, the 10,000 people of the ensemble come from every Kreis, from all 4 corners of Leithanien. Every Leithanian, every friend of Leithanien, and every enemy of Leithanien has their eyes on the twin spires, on Grimmacht and Ewige Gnade. And you want me to suspend, even cancel, the ensemble based on the hypothesis of a Lateran executor who has already caused his fair share of trouble in our country? Perhaps I expected too much of you. You should have known I would respond like this before you even spoke, and if you truly believe in your judgment, you should have acted on your own. On that account, the daughter of Werner von Hochberg is far more resolute than you.
What?
How long have you been with me, Michael?
7 years.
It's time to let you go.
What? Why would you say that?
There comes a day when one must shoulder more responsibility for the sake of Leithanien's future. Bring me my violin. It's time I went to the bridge. The orchestra is 10 meters below us.
The sun has painted the clouds red.
3 minutes, 50 seconds until the performance begins. I will fire a blank. The noise should cause some of the musicians to scatter and interrupt the performance.
The musicians of the Rice Orchestra are all arts masters, each one the equal of an empress's voice. He would be drowned in arts the moment you showed an intent to attack.
The equivalent of 97 Empresses' voices then. Plus 2 squads of approaching casters for a total of 120. I can give you 3 minutes. You must secure the remaining 23 seconds on your own, Senora Hochberg.
3 minutes? What if this is the only way... Delay the casters. Leave the rest to me.
The shadow of the twin spires stretches as the sun sinks towards the horizon. They swallow up the shadows of the musicians, of Cora, of Viviana herself. She has never felt her power unleashed like this. She is reminded of that flickering candlelight in the spire. It was a tiny flame that only illuminated a corner of the bed, leaving the other corners of the spiral staircase and the night beyond the spire in total darkness. There was a time when she couldn't admit that the darkness would linger in her eyes longer than that tiny speck of candlelight.
Success. I cut off the connection between some of the musicians and their instruments. What's going on? We are being affected by some of these arts. You, Frau Löwenstein, are you being held hostage? You could say that. 9. I'm sorry, Amelie. You're in league with each other? I made my choice, and I will not hesitate. Could you please just put down your instrument for a while?
There are fluctuations of arts energy coming from below the twin spires, and some commotion from where the orchestra is. The Witch King's remnants? Possibly. Strange, there should be Gesetzeswächter in the area, but I don't see any. Why? I see. The Kaiserin knew that something terrible would happen here. They are prepared to abandon the twin spires if necessary. They'll even abandon all the... Manha! You were from Sturmland, yeah? Why do you look like someone spooked you? The ensemble is about to begin. Here, I have an extra flute. You can borrow it. A flute? This performance is not to be missed. 9, you can't be here. Go, leave the amphitheater. You'd like a better position. I suppose we could squeeze. I'm not... Do you not see these? See what? The dice I'm holding, my arts unit. What are you doing? You'll give yourself away. Does it even matter at this point? Look around. There must be 10,000 people here. No, we can't even worry about that now. All we can do is save as many as we can. Even just one more. It's too loud here. I can't hear a word you're saying. Look at me. Look at my arts. Do they remind you of anything? I am an Urtica. My arts come from these same lineage as him. You should be afraid. Run! Amazing. Do you hear that? The Imperial musicians just played the first note. The performance of the Goldnesgesetz has begun. The black arts orb rises from his hand and into the air, exploding into a reddish-black shadow. It is quickly buried by even more brilliant rays of arts. Rays created by various Originium arts interweave into the clouds. Both the melody and the arts come from the people on the ground, all focused on performing the music belonging to Leithanien alone, using instruments that also serve as arts units. Even the buildings resonate with the twin spires, turning the empty space around the Kaiserinnen's towers into a true amphitheater. The colors penetrating the clouds continue to shift with the splendid melody, as though the crowd is performing the color of the sunset in the sky. It is a feast of sight and sound, woven together by arts, the ultimate expression of Leithanien's classical aesthetics and mastery over arts. It is a grand spectacle, visible from any corner of Zwillingstürme and beyond. Tears begin to fill Ebenholz's eyes. He remembers standing atop the spire of Urtica, gazing down at the plate below. There were many bell towers in the Grafschaft, which sang every day at dusk. The people would leave their workshops after a long day of work, and the sound of wheels rolling over metallic roads would echo with the music filling the city. He could see the green-black wilderness if he stood on his toes. Einwald was filled with forests. The caravans brought ripe fruit into the city whenever they were in season. Farmers often amplified their scents with arts to attract customers. He could always smell the best fruits, even from his high perch. The maid who sympathized with him would sneak a few back from the market, as long as no other nobles were watching. The fruits were ripe and fresh, unlike the carefully selected dried and withered foods served on the long old table. He could not remember what became of the maid. Did she go join her beloved in the south, or did she find a new job at the instrument workshop beneath the spire? And when he left Urtica, did he ever look back? Let the dark clouds scatter. Let the morning sun shine. Praise be to Leithanien, home of the free. Yes, he had once loved this place from the bottom of his heart. Leithanien, the land of divine music, cradle of the arts.
The performance has begun. It sounds so harmonious, even without the strings. There's a theory I've heard, though I've never tried to verify it. The Guldenes Gesetz contains the will of Leithanien. It represents order, harmony, and beauty. The golden melody is deeply rooted in the soul of every Leithanien and is not so easily damaged.
That sounds like a form of Originium arts. It shares some characteristics with our law, but works on different principles, and on a different target.
So, the Guldenes Gesetz is actually a kind of complex arts affecting the cognition of every Leithanien who hears it? Cast by more than 10,000 people in ensemble. So we can't disrupt the performance, but what about the enemy? What's their plan?
The enemy's plan is undoubtedly the opposite. They want the music to continue, therefore there is only one place they can be hiding.
What are you doing? I put down my cello as you asked.
Frau Hochberg and I have not prevented any musician from leaving. Your colleagues are either resisting her arts or chose to avoid confrontation due to Frau Löwenstein's presence. You are the only one to have stayed behind.
Very astute, Sancta. We have waited for too long to hear the music that truly belongs to Leithanien. The other Witch King's remnants are amongst the musicians? Stay away from them, Cora. Are you crying? Yeah. I'm listening to the Guldenes Gesetz. The movement? It's just so beautiful. It reminded me of how much I used to love Leithanien.
And that first half is where we're gonna leave off for today. Sorry for leaving it on a cliffhanger like this, but I really didn't have it in me anymore to record the second part of after that, and I think it's gonna feel much better to continue from wherever the second part picks up towards. However much we're gonna fuse into the next episode. There is still a lot of the story left, so much more to come. But damn, sides are becoming clearer. I love the comparison there that Federico brought up with how the Guldenes Gesetz is very, kinda in a fundamental sense, very similar to the law, but works in a different way. Very interesting that that got brought up. Again, so many parallels, for, like I said earlier, from previous stories, and not just people and events being brought up, but similarities between the countries and stuff that is involving them. Very interesting. So much is in here. This is I heard people say this is kind of like a Lone Trail thing, but but in different kind of connotations, and yeah, I'm starting to see that. I'm starting to see that. There's definitely gonna be some crazy shit towards the now second half of this story where we are, and I'm looking forward to that. It's gonna be definitely something. Oh, one thing I wanted to bring up very quickly. Forgot to say that earlier after the previous cutscene finished off. I love how color coordinated the costumes for or the robes for Federico and Viviana are. If you put them next to each other, they look like they're part of a unit. They literally look like they're part of a single unit, like male-female uniform of sorts. I love it. The only thing missing on Viviana is like a streak of blue. That would be like perfect then. But yeah, damn, I love to see them next to each other with just because of the colors. Also, damn Federico. Federico is just like 120 opponents equal to like a to like the most elite units in the country. Give me 3 minutes. I can hold him back for 3 minutes. Like, what the hell, buddy? Damn, chill. And Viviana also using her arts in a very particular way that is very interesting as well. Some hidden power. I'm very well aware that she as a unit is pretty much a niche unit, so to speak of. Still gonna probably use her here and there, because I do eventually plan on building her. But I think I've said it way back when I was speculating on when they're gonna make her playable. I honestly thought they're gonna make her a caster, and I feel like she would have worked way better as a caster. Like, this story is pretty much just pointing it out. I think she works better as a caster. I think she would have worked better. But anyway, semantics. I just wanted to bring that up. One other thing before I leave you guys off. I did start recording the investigations here. I'm up to 4 now. 2 more are left. And so far, I have not seen anything like crazy pop up here. I still don't want to know what the secret stuff is, but I still haven't seen anything weird pop up. So I'm gonna keep my eyes out. I am having the I'm having the recorder run when I'm doing these, just in case something pops up and I can, you know, record for the bonus episode, record like a reaction kind of bit if it's that really funny or crazy or whatever the hell is happening. But for now, nothing really happened, so I have no idea. I guess we'll see. There's still a shit ton of days to come. Can happen at any moment, especially if it's RNG related. But yeah, anyway, that will be for another day. For now, thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, please consider leaving a like. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. There's a lot more like this on the channel. Just binge through whatever the hell you want and enjoy. And yeah, if you wanna support me even more, there are memberships on the channel. Thank you for the members who are already there. And yeah, I hope you guys have a fantastic day wherever you are. And I will see you in the next part. Until then, bye-bye.